Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's time we gotta discuss my favorite palettes of 2020, and I hope and I think that these are probably some of your favorite palettes of 2020 as well. But before we get started, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. If you're oldie but goodie, welcome back. My name is Ashley and I have a doctorate in pharmacy, and that's how you get Dr. Ash in her makeup. And please just call me Ash or Ashley, and eyeshadow's my jam. Like, y'all know that I love eyeshadow, so it's only fitting that right now we are talking about my favorite eyeshadow palettes of 2020. So before we get into the video, none of these palettes are ranked in any type of order. I'm just talking about them. They are my favorites. The only one, the last one that I will show you is my absolute favorite, okay? So I'll let you know. But when it's the last one, I'm like, this is my absolute favorite. That's it. So, but I would say there were some really good eyeshadow palettes that came out in 2020. Like, it was a little bleak. It started off strong because, you know, it's before the pandemic, or before the pandemic was the pandemic, and, you know, Corona was just in China. But then it just got real bleak, and I was just like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. But there was some really good eyeshadow palettes that came out in 2020, even though 2020 was, what, a shit show, okay? Some really good palettes that came out. So it makes me a little scared if 2020 wasn't so jacked up, what really would have came out. But let's go ahead, let's jump into it. So the first one I'm going to talk about, because it's just like right here, is the Juvia's Place Wahala 2 palette. Oh my gosh. Like, so this is Juvia's Place first palette where it's this many shadows in it, and it's a little bit more expensive, but you know what, this color story was absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of rainbow in the fact that, you know, it's so many colors but not really rainbow, in the fact that it's, you know, still really more wearable. But I feel like they really knocked it out the park. So they do have 3 pressed glitters, but you have a duochrome shade right here. These shimmers, like this one right here, minus the pressed glitter, it's bomb. Like the green, like these metallics, all of the metallics actually are buttery. They're the same Juvia's Place formula that you love and you're so used to, but they're even better because they're just like so buttery, creamy. These are great, impactful shimmer shades, like gorgeous. You have like a little mauvey berry tone moment over here that's been very popular. You got a little taupey mauvey moment over here. You got your bold colors that you can pop in with. If you don't know what to do, you can just go straight down the lines and follow those color stories that are already curated for you. Or if not, you can like mix and match and play. I have had so much fun playing with this palette. I think this is really like the first palette they released in 2020 because of everything that went on. But I just feel like it was beautifully done. I also like the artwork on the front. I think it's so simplistic with the black and then just the bold mask on the front. Wahala means drama in the Nigerian culture. So I just really love what this palette looks like. I think it's just performed really immaculately. It's beautiful, it's effortless, and you just get so many fun options when you open up this palette and get ready to create a look. I've had so much fun with it. And like I said, like you do have some neutral options, you know, to kind of like play with. So you don't have to be so intimidated. I think they did a really good job with this. Next up, you have this little baby right here. This is the Baroque Palette by Colourpop. Now this palette was part of a 3 palette series called the Dark Blooms collection. And it is gorgeous. Like, Colourpop did their thing when it came to that collection, okay? But this right here, I believe, was the star of the show. I don't have the 3rd palette, but I have Grandeur, and I have this one. I can't think of the 3rd palette's name at the moment, but that was the most warm tone one. But this one is a beautiful, cool tone, gray, violet, blue palette. It's gorgeous. Look at the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous. It just brings you in. It has that florals. It has the navy blue background. It has this bold gold lettering over the front that's embossed. It's so pretty. Then the theme is just continued when you open it up on the inside. It's just like a work of art. And then you have these beautiful shadows right here. Like, so you have a lot of mattes to work with in this palette. You do have a lot of that sequin formula where, you know, they put the glitter in the mattes, and then the glitter just floats away. But the tones of those matte shades are really gorgeous. You have like your standard gray, you have your navy gray, you have your plain navy, you have a really deep purple, you have your more violet gray, and then you have two really pretty, you know, duochrome shades right here. So I just really have been digging this palette, and it's just gorgeous. It's really unique to my collection. I think Colourpop really stepped out the box when they created this palette. I kind of equivalent this palette to the Good Sport palette by Colourpop. Like, you know, that palette was very unique for its time. It's a palette that everybody loves, and I feel like this is right there up there. The formula is great. It's that good, great Colourpop formula that you're used to for a great price point. And I feel like they nailed it. This is perfect. And you know, cool tones are really just sneaking in on in there. So I really have been enjoying this. So let's jump into something not so cool. And we have the Natasha Denona bronze palette. And we know she's bronze because you can look at this great old color scheme of this outer packaging right here that has all the fingerprints in the world, and we're just going to put more on it. But I really do like this type of packaging from Natasha Denona. I like her leather packaging, but I really like this. I like this particular size of the eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona because you get a lot of bang for your buck, even though it's still an expensive palette. But when we talk about Natasha Denona, you know, you rather pay for the $65 palette, or would you want the 120? 65, please. So this is the bronze palette, and it is gorgeous. You have a great mirror right here that you can do your makeup with. It encompasses a whole palette, and you have these beautiful fiery tone shades. Like, y'all know me. Y'all know, like this one right here. That's me all day. Like, I'm throwing it all over the lid and I'm walking out the door. You have this beautiful mustard matte. You have some of her cream to powder formulations. You have some of the creamy matte formulations. You have her duochromes. You have her chroma crystals. You have the straight up metallic shades. It is gorgeous. And even though you're like, oh, well, it's all bronze, I love this for like every day. It goes with my complexion so great. I feel like you get very versatile looks, because this one right here with its bliss, it has green flecks in it. This one right here is your true bronzy shade. You have your more true gold shade and alloy right here. And bronze is just a collection of different type of metals melted down. Then you have true copper. It has a lot of glitter flecks in it. The shimmers are very impactful, very bold, creamy. And also these two shades right here just kind of like set it off. You know, kind of like how you have in the gold palette, you have those two turquoise shades. Like, this is kind of like giving me what it gives in the gold palette. Like, Deep Dive and Rhodium are so interesting. This darking purple shade, I love it. You know, I like to put more deep berry tones in the crease versus like standard dark browns. And I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Not to mention, it's that creamy matte formula, so it blends out like a dream. You don't have to worry about it, like, you know, being patchy or anything like that. Magma and Suntan, these mattes right here are really nice deep brown neutral mattes with a little bit more red hue to it, of course. And then even this shade Sundown is a great matte. All of the mattes show up very well on my skin complexion. I feel like this was just so well done. Such a great hit for the summertime, and honestly I use it all the time because it's just a great gold base coppery eyeshadow palette. I really enjoy this. Like I said, this is in no particular order, but I'm just going to jump in with the Glam palette. This, I was like, yes. I was like, you know, so it's a little bit of controversy when you talk about the names. The names don't bother me. I guess the only name that sticks out like a sore thumb is the name Transition, because it is a stone-like color and most people of my complexion or deeper cannot use it as a transition. But I think it does work very nice. You can use it. And I feel like this is a perfect cool tone palette. Sometimes with cool tone palettes on my complexion, you have to be careful because sometimes if it's not the right type of tone or the right hue, it will look a little ashy. Not this palette. I think this palette is very beautiful. It's glam, honey. It is really like little black dress sexy. It is like you got your disco ball New Year's Eve outfit on. You put this on, put a red lip on. It's gorgeous. You have more pinky, soft pinky hues. Everything has like a little topper or a straight up shimmer that you can put on with it. Of course, like you have inner corner, outer corner, transition. Those are the names. But I mean, it's still curated in nice stories where you can use these for, you can use this for. You have nice laid out color stories where you can kind of figure out how you want it. I also just love playing around the palette. One of my favorite shades is this shade right here called Lash Line. It's not black, but it's a nice gray, smoky color that's deep. I really enjoy that. I also really love the shade Crease that she calls Crease. I mean, it's a really nice tone. Like, it blends in well. Even the shade Transition blends in well, and you can use it to dye down this shade Lash Line. And this brown right here, these neutrals, and then you have like even just the gold is very nice. That is cool tone. It's a great palette. This is literally one of my favorites. I have pulled this palette out time and time again. I'm really thankful that I picked this up and really gave it a try. I think cool tones is like not something I usually gravitate towards, but this is actually gorgeous. And it's so funny because like when I first started wearing makeup, I always wore cool tones like MAC Vanilla and like a little, what was it, Satin Taupe or Jardin Airs, that pigment, that was my jam. So, you know, I think warm tones have just taken over the market so much. We're not like really used to wearing it, but you want a cool tone palette that looks great. I haven't seen this palette look bad on anybody. This one right here. We're just gonna keep on with the cool tone palettes. This one right here is Enduring Love by Sydney Grace. Oh my gosh. This palette actually came out in January of this year and it sells out so fast. So she did change the packaging of this palette. It is now cardboard. I do not know why. I like the tin packaging better. It looks the same in cardboard, but I like the tin packaging. Okay, now the cool thing also about this palette from Sydney Grace is that this palette actually came in a deep version and a light version. So, you know, individuals a little bit deeper it could have some deeper transition shades. So all the shades are the same, except for maybe like Darcy, Juliet, and I want to say Abigail and Cherish. Now they have the same names, but they're just deeper. But I have seen tutorials where people have used the lighter version on a deeper complected person and it looks just as well. I mean, with this, you just get, it is a beautiful color story. You have the taupes, you have the turquoises, you have the eggplants, the more cranberry shades. You have this shade right here is a little bit more golden. So you have a little bit of warm tone with the cool tone. And Sydney Grace's formula, look, outstanding. Like one of my favorite formulas, literally. I feel like Sydney Grace is finally getting like the shine that they deserve this year. But this palette and in between the Tiny Marvels palette, they have been just getting the shine that they deserve. They're really nice women who run a company. They're sisters. I mean, in this palette, the performance on this palette, I have a video on this too. Like I said, everything on this right here, I have a video on, okay? I have several looks. But over and over again, I just kept pulling this palette out. Even before I had like the Natasha Denona for cool tone, I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I really do. So it's no secret that I love green eyeshadow. And so I was looking forward to these next two palettes so much when they came out. And this one is the Recently Deceased palette. I mean, the color story in here is so freaking bomb. It's different. The packaging on this, Melt comes through with the packaging. I mean, look at this. This is the insert. Like, you won't throw this away like all my other inserts in the trash. Trash. This I'm keeping. It's a scene. It's like a movie reel. I mean, look at this huge mirror you have. It's hard plastic palette packaging. It's lime green. The theme is continued on the back. The sticker is laid in nicely. It's not bubbling. It's not crooked. It belongs there because there's an inset for the sticker. I mean, the front is great. And then the color story, when you open it, like, look at how the theme is just continued on the end. And you see the white and black stripes for Beetlejuice. Look at these shadows. I love this palette so much. You guys already know I've done looks with this palette. You guys can see me in other videos mentioning this palette. I have several pictures on my Instagram wearing this palette. So if you want to catch some of these looks that I'm talking about, always go over to my Instagram because I try to post the looks that I'm wearing with these palettes. This green right here, Neurotic, I mean, this shimmer is impactful, it's bold, it's vibrant, it's not crumbly. This one right here, this is my favorite matte in this palette because this is just the perfect lime mustardy green. It shows up on my skin complexion. I always talk about, like, I have problems with like mustardy mattes showing up or lime green mattes. Not this one. Even this one shows up. You can layer this and this on top of each other. It's going to work out. This green right here is the perfect foresty deep green. It's beautiful. Like, it's a full shimmer pigment. Like, you don't have any problems. You don't have to worry about it being patchy. It's going to lay down wonderfully. I would say with this palette though, is you should definitely do your face makeup afterwards. The purples are great. Like, I love this purple shade right here. I love all of them. This is my favorite purple matte. It is deep. It is vibrant. I had no problem. It's not patchy. It's very hard to formulate purples. All of these shades are beautiful. Like, you can get great looks if you just use your imagination. With the green and the purple, you get a little Barney vibes, but sometimes I'm here for that. But I feel like they really knocked it out the park. This is literally like one of my most favorite palettes in my collection. I love it. So then we're just going to jump into the sister palette, the Waiting Room. So I really like to use both of these palettes together at the same time, but I really enjoy the Waiting Room too. I am into burgundies, I'm into red, I'm into cranberry shades. You guys know that. I'm into the gray mattes. I tell you, like, the gray matte is like my friend. I don't see them a lot, but when, you know, I use it, it's like we never skip the beat. Like the film room right here, the whole theme, once again, carried throughout the palette. You have the great big mirror. This one actually has 10 shades. This shade right here, I love it. It's like a coppery cranberry bronze shade. Love it. All over the eyes is gorgeous. That's Dante's Inferno. Save Girl is a beautiful, like, fuchsia cranberry. It's gorgeous. Has no problem with performance. Lydia, a beautiful, just pure red metallic. These two gray mattes right here are wonderful. You can use this white to lighten up some of these mattes. These deep, dark, berry tone mattes are gorgeous as well. And then once you put it on with the purples in here, you can just kind of really intensify those purples. I mean, this is not a common color scheme, but I think it's fun, it's fresh, it's unique, it's really true to Beetle Juice when we talk about both of these palettes. So it's hands down my favorite. Like, you know, maybe not the most practical, both of these palettes for today, but sometimes we don't need practical. I got enough makeup, and sometimes I want to just open my palettes and be like, dang, this is really cool. I'm really inspired to do something like outside the box. You know, I really have been enjoying these palettes ever since I picked them up, and these are truly two of my favorites, even though they just came out on Black Friday. But I was looking forward to this collection for so long. Once they announced what they were doing, I was here for it. Okay, so we are getting down to the wire. So next up is a sister palette of one I just mentioned, and it's also the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes, and it is the Wahala 2 palette. Oh my gosh. Juvia's Place just said, we just gonna drop this palette. We're not gonna put out any swatches. We're not gonna tell anybody it's a duochrome in the palette. Boom, here you go. Just deal with it. And I decided to pick it up, and boy, am I glad. Several looks on my channel with this one. I love it. I wear it to work. I'm wearing it right now. The shades that I'm wearing right now, I have Lust in my transition in outer V. I have Money right here in the outer area of my eye, and also going in towards the lid. Then I have Hater. I have Hater right here on the inner corner. In the very inner corner, I have this beautiful color Fame, which is actually a little bit more gold. Now, the downsides of this palette, it does have it has more pressed glitters than the first Wahala. Not to mention the other downside where I really don't feel it is just right in here, like I've said a couple times before. I don't like how close these three tones are together. So if these two tones were kept and then you had a deeper dark silver, I would have liked that more. You have very interesting color story. It's like all of these shades, they may look the same, but they're not. You have your more periwinkle roll. You have your more blue-green roll. And then you have your straight up teal roll. You got your orangey. This color right here is beautiful. Like, you can put it on and it's a great neutral look. You have some neutral mattes that you can help set your transition for these deeper mattes. They're very pigmented. Now I would say that some of these shimmers are a little bit more hard pressed versus the Wahala, the first Wahala, but they're gorgeous. You have a lot of duochromes. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I have bold on the lower lash line. I think the colors are gorgeous. You can jump in between these rows and get some really beautiful looks that like stunning. I think they really knocked it out the park. Oh, and then like I said, I didn't even mention, like right here, you have the shade Fake. It's a duochrome. Do you see the shift? This duochrome is so buttery. It's like literally up there with some of the top duochromes on the market. I think this palette was retail for like $39. You know, some of those shadows retail for $25 by itself. But this one could rival some of those brands like Cleona and Divinity and Terra Moons when it comes to this particular shade Fake. The slip on it, the shift on it is amazing. Even the shade Money, but Fake is even more of a duochrome. And it's that duochrome shade that's been very popular, and even in one of the palettes I'm about to talk about. So if you were looking for a duochrome like shade like that, and you couldn't afford to get some of the other ones, but you're still interested in this palette, I think you should pick this palette up. Juvia's Place is having a sale right now, so you can definitely grab it on a sale. I think this is gorgeous. They really outdid themselves with this palette, and I'm really digging it. Okay, next up we have Miss Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity. So this is a palette that I knew I wanted, but I was just really like, I don't really need to buy it. And I was just like, just shut up and leave me alone. I'm going to buy it. It's my money. I do what I want. You know what I mean? I go to work every single day. So I want to buy it, even though it has 12 repeat shades. Just leave me alone. That's how I felt. You know, when some people got it, and some people were like, don't you already have the Star Wars? Yes, I already have the Star Wars, but I want this in this particular format, and I want the 6 new shades in there. And this is the Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity palette, Holiday 2020 palette. I think she really outdid herself with this particular palette. It seems to be a hit with everybody. A lot of people were really upset when they found out that Star Wars was in it, but then a lot of people were very happy because a lot of people did not get their chance to get the Star Wars. I'm really trying to hold it like one hand, but girl, you know you have the size hands of a 4th grader. Like, get it together. You can't do that because it's gonna fall. There we go. Okay, so once you open it up, you see what I'm saying. You have the first 6-pan Star Wars collection right here, and you have the second 6-pan, and then the new shades are in the middle. You only have 3 mattes in this palette, but that's all you need. You don't need a bunch of mattes because you already know, like Corruption, you can use a matte. Smoke Amethyst you can use as a matte. That is the beauty with Pat McGrath palettes, and I'm just saying, like, she really outdid herself. And I think it's great that people could get their hands on the Star Wars collection, or at least those shades, without having to have the fear of FOMO, because a lot of people wanted those, and those were some of my favorite shades in her collection. And I just felt bad when I talk about it because it's like, dang, a lot of people couldn't get their hands on that Star Wars collection. Then the 6 shades right here, you have that classic blue-brown duochrome situation right here. It's beautiful, but I feel like this one has just a little bit more lime green flecks. You have the Major Mahogany matte. It's a brown matte. You have the Venom is Void, I want to say that this is called. And then you have I mean, the names are on the back. I mean, I should look. You got Venetian Orchid. So I really also like this olive shade. So she kind of gave us 2 greens. So I'm like, Pat, are you going to give us a green palette next year? Is this your kind of way? Like, you going to step on in there? Please make my dreams come true and give us a mothership, 9 with greens. That would be wonderful. But I feel like the price point on this was so great. So, like, even though the 6 shades are new to me, and that's the only shades that are new when I pick up this palette, I don't feel like it's that terrible because the 6-pan palettes that she usually have are, what, $65 at this point. They used to be $55. I want to say they're $65 now. This was $79. You know, usually if you purchase this at the beginning of launch, you're going to get like 10% off from Pat McGrath. A lot of people opted to wait till this came to Sephora. Then, not to mention, you know, soon after this came to Sephora, the VIP sale happened. So depending on your category, you could get 10, 15, or 20% off. I think the price point was great. A lot of people said that this was their first Pat McGrath palette. They are very interested in the brand now. and they see a lot of the hype around the brand. I mean, it doesn't have our special shades in there, but it has that wonderful metallic formula in there that I absolutely love. It has 3 of her very great mattes. Like, no matter how you put these mattes, no matter how you put this color combination together, you're coming out with a fabulous look. You're out the box with it. You have so many options. It's great for storage. It's flat. You can take it traveling, even though I have taken a Mothership palette traveling. It's a little much, but I've done it. But this right here is great. The price point for the amount of shadows you're getting is great. Now the shadows, like the pan sizes, are a little bit smaller, so that's how she was able to achieve that. And plus, you don't have the black lacquer packaging. But overall, I feel like this is a great palette. I'm not so fan. These ribbons, I'm like, I don't know how they've stayed so long. I'm not so thrilled about it. But overall, she did her thing. I love it. So let's get into 2 honorable mentions before I talk about my very favorite palette of 2020. So 2 honorable mentions is only because I've played with this palette, but I haven't had enough time to play with it like how I want to, versus like I've used these palettes so many times. It's just like kind of like no question about it. So I would just really want to be honest. But I would say the Melt Sheets and Parties. This palette is so good. Like, if you're into burgundy, purple, lavender shadows, this is for you. And so the thing about it is, you know, even though I just talked so much about the Recently Deceased and the Waiting Room palette, like Melt's formula is good when it's good, but it can be inconsistent, and everybody knows that. But when it's good, it's great, and this is great, okay? You know, it's 8 shadows, but is it 8? Okay, it's 8. It's like I had to look. I was like, it's 8? Is it 10? Let me look in here. It's an 8-pan palette. But you have the greatest burgundy mattes. You have this one right here that kind of plays like a matte. You have that cranberry shade that you know I love. You have some very beautiful sparkly tones right here. You have like a brow bone, inner corner highlight. It is good. If this is your color scheme, you need to get this. And I almost missed out on this, and I'm so glad I didn't. But once the reviews started coming in, I felt like I had been burned. Yeah, I had been burned by 420. And it wasn't even like the fact that I was just upset that I bought it. I was just more upset like, girl, why didn't you return it? So I was just like, I'm going to take a break from Melt, and I'm going to see what they have to say about this. But everybody kept saying it was so good, and it was in and out of stock at Sephora. So I was just like, you know what? I need to try this. And I'm so glad I tried this. The looks I've gotten from this have been really great. You can get depth from these looks. You can get really dark and dramatic, or really light and like fairy, twinkly, you know, light looks. I think they really knocked it out the park, and they need to keep up this formula that they have here, and plus the formula that they have in the Beetlejuice collection. My next honorary mention is this little baby right here. I was just like, who knew I would be so interested in BH Cosmetics in the year of 2020. Like, BH Cosmetics was like, hold my beer, I'm finna have a great year. I don't know what y'all doing over there, but I'm having a great year. So they released Blueberry Muffin and Avocado Toast, but you know I love green shadows, so this is my favorite. You have grungy greens, you got bright greens, you have like a beautiful rose gold shade. The mattes are wonderful. The only 2 mattes I don't like is this one and this one. It's just too much white in it. It's not enough base color. They're too ashy. So pretty, and I love it. If you're just like trying to tip your way into color and trying to figure out, like, if you want to get on the green eyeshadow train that everybody is on, like, this is the palette. Like, it's affordable. The quality is great. I've just really enjoyed it. I just kind of got it, so that's why I didn't put it as a favorite. But if I had it maybe even as long as the Waiting Room and the Beetlejuice, because I got that the day after Thanksgiving, so I at least had a good hardcore month and a half, I would have definitely put this like as a sure favorite. But this is an honorable mention for sure. So alright, so that brings me up to my favorite palette of 2020. Can you guys guess? Because you already know what palette has not been shown yet. And I feel like so many people have said that this is their favorite palette of 2020 also. And it's been in everybody's video that I've watched. So I felt like I could watch other videos because I had made my list a long time ago. So I wasn't swayed, and I know what I've really been loving as of lately. But you already know. My favorite. Mothership 8. She's my favorite. She might even be my favorite Mothership, quiet as it kept right now. Like, woo! She has come in there and just like taken my makeup collection by storm, okay? This is the only Mothership palette that lives outside of the case. Like, I keep her like in a little sleeve, like a little spot. Like right underneath there, I have some palettes. I just keep it right there for like easy access. Like when I just want to pull it out, like when I just want to grab a shade from it. I was fortunate enough to get this in the beautiful rose gold mirrored packaging. Gorgeous. I need to wipe her off. I usually kind of like do a little Windex over her to keep the fingerprints off. But I love it. Like, first of all, you already know this is my color scheme. Like, this is my everyday color scheme. This is my neutral palette. I love it. Like, first of all, the mattes are amazing. Like, these two mattes right here are gorgeous. You have the beautiful transition shade. You have this great shade that you can just go ahead and deepen up the crease with, or you could just put all over the eyelid. Is beautiful. This Bronze 005 shade is one of my most favorite 005 shades in her collection. And then already know, she gave us a duochrome, a trio chrome, or whatever you want to say. Like, this shade, VR Extraterrestrial, is absolutely gorgeous. I'm not the hugest fan of like very yellow gold shades, but I found that this is beautiful. Everything is so cohesive. It layers well together. The only shade that I would say I love it, but I'm like, it could use some work, is this particular shade right here. I want to say it's Divine Dust, because it seems like it could get a little hard pan. I did like rub my finger over it so some of the hard pan can go away. But let me tell you, Eleganza, gorgeous. Like, that is a shade you can wear over the lid every day, or you can wear going out. It's so sparkly. And then you put a little bit of the astral, pink astral, whatever it's called. My name card flew somewhere. You put this over Eleganza, look, forget about it. This palette is gorgeous. I use this palette all the time. I use this as blush. I use this all over the lid. I mean, this shade and this shade together is just a vibe. This all over the lid is a vibe, with maybe a little bit of this in the transition if you want to go in with this particular shade. It's my favorite. And I did recently just do another look with this palette in my everyday makeup sleigh. I love this palette. Like, I wanted to put this palette on too, but I was like, no, I just used this in my everyday makeup sleigh, so I wanted to like change it up for you guys. So that's why I did the Wahala suit. But I really love all of them. But this right here is my favorite. I have used this so much. When I don't know what to use, I pull out this palette. I am feeling it. It is such a great Mothership. For me, it's one of the most wearable Mothership palettes. I feel like if you're my skin complexion or deeper, this looks gorgeous. Now, I have Divine Rose 1. I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's one of the easiest palettes, and it's no secret why that palette is done so well. And I feel like it's no secret why this is done so well too. But I feel like if this palette is just so beautiful. It's curated well. All the formulas, the textures are done so well. Even this particular, what is it, Rose Risque, is it's beautiful. Like, it gives you that pop. It really takes it there. So I feel like you can get great neutral looks. You can get great everyday looks. You can get great fun. Like, ooh. And I'm telling you, when I put VR Extraterrestrial on and just put it all over the lid, people are like mesmerized. People are like, your eyeshadow. Your eyeshadow. I'm like, it's one shade. They're like, shut up. I'm like, no, it's one shade. So these are my favorite palettes of 2020. Do you have any of these? What is your favorites? What are your favorites of 2020? Maybe not just your favorite, but what are your favorites of 2020? I have been enjoying these palettes so much, and I feel like I have just gotten some really great stuff added to my collection this year. And I'm not going to want to put them down in the new year. So I feel like that's a really good thing. So those are my favorite palettes of 2020. Please let me know down in the description box, do you have any of these palettes? Have you thought about picking up any of these palettes? And more importantly, what have been your favorite palettes of 2020? Because some great stuff has come out. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, because I would really appreciate it. And you know, I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. So I will list all of my makeup details that I have on today and all of the palettes down below in the description box. And I am approved to use Reward Style, so that's an affiliate program. So if you see some affiliate links, I have a little asterisk by them. Please know if you decide to shop through these links that it does really help support and put content back into this channel. So I really thank you for supporting this channel. But it also costs you nothing to watch, so I'm glad that you're here and you wanted to comment as well. Comment down below. You know I like to talk to you guys in the comments. So once again, just go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Give this video a big thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video very, very soon. And you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.